So good morning friends. Today we will discuss about the distributerless ignition system. In the distributerless ignition system, as the name suggests, distributerless ignition system is the ignition system without a distributor and a contact breaker point. Okay. So what is the advantage of distributerless ignition system? The advantage of distributerless ignition system is it doesn't have any moving part, or there is no wear and tear due to moving part or any mechanical part of the engine. Okay. Now distributerless ignition system consists the main part of the distributerless ignition system is this battery. Okay, and then this battery is connected to switch, and then the voltage from the battery goes to the ECU, electronic control unit, and then from the ECU the signal will passes through the this is a ignition control module ICM. Okay, signal will pass from ECU to ICM, ignition control module. In this ignition control module, if this is a 4-cylinder engine, there are 4 spark plugs, and for 4 spark plugs there are individual 4 high tension ignition coil. Okay, for each spark plug there is a individual high tension ignition coil. These high tension ignition coils are excited by this camshaft sensor and crank position sensor. Okay, when the signal from the crank position sensor and crank position sensor goes through this ignition control module, these all the 4 coils will excited according to the firing order, and the spark will produce to the respective spark plug. Okay, so this is the schematic construction of the distributerless ignition system. Now, what is the purpose of introducing of the distributerless ignition system? So let us see, in the conventional ignition system what happened, there are a lot of mechanical parts as shown in the figure, as such that this contact breaker point, it will make and break like this. There is always friction, there is always wear and tear at this tip of this contact breaker point. Okay, so at the few thousand kilometer after running any vehicle at a few thousand kilometer, what happened, due to continuous mechanical wear and tear and continuous sparking and wear and tear, there is a mismatch in timing. Okay, or the timing will be upsetted by this continuous wear and tear. So it will demands a lot of maintenance, that is to adjust this point gap frequently, as well as to change this mechanical part at the considerable interval of time. Okay, at the same time there is also another mechanically moving part is a distributor. Okay, this distributor is a rotating distributor which rotates mechanically with the help of camshaft. Okay, so when the camshaft rotates, this distributor rotates, this rotor will rotate and align according to the firing order of the 4-cylinder engine, and it will give spark to the respective spark plug when it aligns with the electrode. Okay, so there is also sparking, deposition of carbon at this tip, and this tip. Okay, so frequently this distributor has to be opened out, it has to, this terminals has to be cleaned out. Okay, this central terminal is also cleaned out, so that all the carbon deposition should be removed, and good healthy amount of spark will get to the spark plug. So this also demands of frequent maintenance as well as the wear and tear of the this particular system. Okay, so performance will also drop when there is a deposition of carbon. Okay, this health of spark will goes on reducing as the after running the vehicle in few thousand kilometer due to deposition of carbon. Okay, so these are the drawbacks of the conventional ignition system. So in the distributerless ignition system, what happened, this complete mechanical parts such as this contact breaker point distributor system is completely omitted, or it is replaced by the distributerless ignition system. Now this is the simplified diagram of the distributerless ignition system. Okay, from this diagram we can easily understand how the distributerless ignition system works. Okay, so in this diagram also there is a battery which is the main source of the current in this ignition system, and negative terminal is grounded, positive terminal is given to a switch, and then in a distributerless ignition system as shown in this diagram, for each cylinder, that is for each spark plug, if this is a 2-cylinder engine, there are 2 spark plug number 1 and spark plug number 2. So for each spark plug there is a separate high tension coil for each spark plug. That is, spark plug number 1 has a high tension coil number 1, and spark plug number 2 has a high tension coil number 2. These 2 coils are in parallel with the battery. Okay, the voltage is in parallel with this each other. Okay, and this high tension coil, this secondary coil is connected to the spark plug. Okay, spark plug number 1, and in this case this secondary coil number 2 is connected to spark plug number 2. Primary coil is connected to SCR1, and here the primary coil is connected to SCR2. Okay, now what happened, this SCR1 is connected to the pickup coil number 1, and this SCR2 is, that is the gate of the SCR2 is connected to pickup coil number 2. Okay, and this is a crank position sensor. This crank position sensor, it is attached with the crankshaft of engine. Okay, now what happened, in the crank position sensor has a teeth. Okay, these are teeth, uniformly distanced teeth as shown in this figure, and in this particular case where we want a ignition, there is a one teeth missing. Okay, that is, there is an empty space. Okay, one teeth is missing in this particular slot. Okay, as shown in the diagram. Now what happened when this crank position, when this rotor rotates. Okay, now what happened when this rotor rotates, there are the continuous pulse like this, this one. Okay, because of these teeth. When this teeth come in front of this ignition coil or pickup coil will pick up pulse like this one, and when the pickup coil comes in the empty slot, it will not produce any pulse. Okay, that is, this slot is empty, and again it will start producing pulse like this. So whenever there is a missing of pulse, okay, then whenever there is a missing of pulse, that means negative pulse or a drop in voltage takes place. Okay, and this drop in voltage is sensed by this gate. Okay, and this SCR is in conduction mode. Okay, whenever the SCR is in conduction mode, it will heavily passes the current from this primary coil to ground. Okay, so there is a change in magnetic field in the primary circuit, so there is a change in primary magnetic field in the secondary coil. So as it is a step up transformer, okay, so what happened, a small change in primary produces a big change in secondary. So whenever there is a small change in voltage in the primary, there is a huge change in voltage in the secondary. Okay, and as the voltage is generated in the secondary coil, it is transmitted to spark plug number 1. Okay, this is happened due to this empty slot or unavailability of this pulse. Okay, and this is picked up by this pickup coil number 1. So this SCR will be in conduction form once it is in front of this empty slot. Okay, so this cylinder will fire out, and when this wheel moves again in the clockwise direction and comes in aligned with this pickup coil number 2, another signal is generated like this, that is drop in voltage is sensed by this pickup coil, and this SCR number 2 is in the conduction form. Okay, it conducts the current heavily. It will again another produces a small pulse of 12 volt here. As this is a step up transformer, again it will produces a large pulse in the secondary, and spark plug number 2 will be spark will generated in the spark plug number 2. Okay, so in this case, as this crank position sensor or this rotor rotates, and as it is aligned with the pickup coil, so this pickup coil will pick up the signals and make the SCR in the conduction and non-conduction form. Okay, so once this empty slot will pass through this pickup coil, and once it pass, so it will again generate the pulses like this. So SCR will not in the conduction form, so it will not produce any voltage. It will produce voltage only when this empty slot comes in front of this pickup coil. Okay, so in this case there is an accurate injection of spark in the cylinder. Okay, so as there is no mechanical contact, so there is no wear and tear at all here, and due to this system will be completely maintenance free. Okay, and this system doesn't require any maintenance at all. It doesn't require any adjustment of point gaps, any deposition of carbon. Okay, it is a fit and forget type of the ignition system. Okay, now what is the advantage of this ignition system? The first advantage is very or no maintenance at all. So it is fit and forget type of the ignition system. Okay, at the same time, what happened, each cylinder has its own high tension coil. That is, cylinder number 1 has a high tension coil 1, cylinder number 2 has a high tension coil 2. So what happened, at the very high RPM of engine, there is a very healthy current from the output of this high tension coil. Okay, there is no drop of voltage due to distribution of in the distribution, that is in the another battery coil ignition system or CDI ignition system. There is a drop in voltage because there is a distributor. That is, there is one high tension coil is there, and only one high tension coil distributes high tension voltage to all the 4 cylinder or 2 cylinder. Okay, now in this case, what happened, for each cylinder there is a individual high tension coil. So there is a very high current, high intensity current or healthy current at the output of the secondary coil of the high tension coil. Okay, so this ignition system performs very good at low RPM as well as at very high RPM, because there is no distribution of the secondary voltage to the various cylinder. Each cylinder will get its own high tension coil. Okay, so this is all about the distributorless ignition system. Okay, thank you.